Two people tragically lost their lives this week in Waukee after their car crashed into a pond. Local 5's Brandon Wynn joins us in studio to share how the community is stepping up to bring healing. Brandon.
Alex, when Titus Wanjala and River Cropper crashed into the pond by the Stratford Crossing townhomes, the community knew they had to do something to honor their memory. When neighbors of Titus and River saw what happened, they rushed to respond.
When we watched the first responders rush in and start trying to get the two gentlemen out, that's when we realized how serious the accident was.
Caitlin Cordero is just one of many neighbors that, despite not knowing the two, decided to take action.
Okay, so we started with the crosses. The crosses both say rest in peace. There's one for both Titus and River. We have candles, as Titus was very religious.
A memorial for two individuals they didn't know personally, just doing it because it's the right thing to do.
We know River was into fidgets and little toys, so we included the little rubber ducky. We have solar panels, so everything is lit up at night.
Another neighbor, Kelly Kuiper, shared how Titus's and River's family have expressed their gratitude.
It's special, and they appreciate it, and they've reached out to us personally, and as well as the family and friends that we've spoken to daily, and they see it, they love it.
Love from a community that now looks to help the two families of those experiencing unimaginable loss.
I think that's the real intention, is that they know that they've never met us and they might not ever see us again, but we are part of their family, and we really, really want them to feel the love and support that we all have for them. Now, Titus and River's neighbors did organize a candlelight vigil that was held tonight at 8:30 p.m. It was at the memorial to help their families grieve. Alex.
Many central Iowa communities felt the effects of heavy rain in recent weeks. In Nevada, floodwaters from Indian Creek left their mark on the Story County Fairgrounds. But as Local 5's J.D. Snover reports, when the water went down, the community showed up.
He didn't mind lending a bit of his resting day.
It was just impressive to see so many people give up their Sunday to come make sure that the fair went well.
Because for Story County resident Jeff Staten,
and I love Story County, love living here.
When floodwaters from Indian Creek came rushing in,
they were just building these pens. And as fast as they would build them, Marty and I would unload them and move them in, and they were heavy.
The focus isn't on the barn itself.
Without the youth events, this fair wouldn't be anything anyway.
But on making sure young exhibitors still have their opportunity.
These are the first opportunity that these kids have had in many cases to come, show their project off and get it ready for the state fair.
To participate in a tradition that means more than a ribbon.
So I think it instills a lot of confidence.
Something Kelly Sheets sees both as a Fair Board member.
My son was participating in the public speaking earlier today.
And as a father.
Just allows those kids to gain confidence to both speak in public and get out of their comfort zone to be able to be a contributing citizen.
Because the fair isn't just about a full barn or a rodeo.
It's primarily voluntarily driven.
It's about the people.
It's Iowa. It's Iowa all in one package.
Who this year weren't going to let their event wash away. And so the stands currently sit empty, but in just a few days' time, they will be packed, and all of the fun here at the fairgrounds begins on Wednesday. In Nevada, I'm J.D. Snover, Local 5 News.
South Carolina's governor announced Senator Lindsey Graham's sister will fill his seat. Senator Graham died suddenly over the weekend. The preliminary diagnosis is a rupture in his aorta because of hardening of his arteries. Darlene Graham Nardone will finish her brother's term in the Senate, which ends on January 3rd. Candidates who want to enter the race to fill Senator Graham's seat will have to file for a special election. The special primary is August 11th. The winner will replace him on the ballot in November. Right now, flags across Iowa will remain at half-staff following Senator Graham's death. Governor Kim Reynolds issued this order after President Donald Trump directed flags nationwide be lowered in Graham's memory. Flags will remain at half-staff through 6 p.m. Saturday. In Iowa, flags are also currently flying at half-staff through sunset Friday in remembrance of Air Force Major Brad Hovey, who was killed during a B-52 test flight mission last month. The late senator was no stranger to Iowa. He made several stops in the state when he was running for president in 2016. Local 5's Alex Fulton spoke with one of the Iowans who worked with him at that time. And Alex, what was their relationship like?
Well, Stephanie, Senator Lindsey Graham and Tracy Gibler stayed in touch even after his presidential campaign ended. He personally reached out to her multiple times over the past few years when she experienced loss in her own family. As a sitting senator, Lindsey Graham ran for president in 2016.
He really had the full Iowa experience.
Tracy Gibler was his Iowa state director.
I liked how he didn't take himself too seriously while taking issues very seriously.
She was in charge of setting up his events and taking him to them.
I got to take him to my hometown of Ottumwa. We also went to many places, Mason City, Dubuque. We took him to the Field of Dreams, and he played catch with one of our field staffers' younger siblings.
Together, they visited all 4 congressional districts.
He very much liked having conversations with people, learning about them, and hearing what was facing them as far as the troubles and how he could help problem solve those.
During some stops, Graham was with his colleague, Senator Chuck Grassley.
He was a fan of the good people of my state of Iowa, identifying with our shared values of hard work, of faith, and genuine care for one another.
Graham even got to go to the 2015 Iowa State Fair.
He would give me some ribbing, and that I planned a full day for him at the Iowa State Fair. And I think he thought, what are we going to do for a full day at a state fair?
It wasn't enough to win the presidential nomination, but the senator's time in Iowa stuck with his staffer.
I think that he, sorry, I'm a little emotional. Lindsey died doing what he loved. He loved America. He loved advocating for America.
Graham later returned to Iowa in 2019 for the Iowa GOP's Lincoln Reagan dinner. He told Gibler that night that she believed in him when no one else did. Stephanie.
Thousands are expected to hit the road this weekend on bicycles as RAGBRAI begins. As Local 5's JD Snover reports, it's a moment to shine for many small towns.
Most riders hop on the bike and expect Iowa's small town charm.
We all can work together to make something happen.
But Something Blue owner Katie Clement is preparing for more.
It's all about the memories that you make.
A few of those may even last a lifetime.
You can either renew your vows, or I actually will have an ordained officiant on site that you can actually get married on RAGBRAI.
Because after all,
what a more memorable way to get married or renew your vows than with 40,000 of your closest friends sweating in a bike uniform in the middle of Iowa.
riders won't just have a wedding officiant waiting for them.
I think the best part is that it comes down to small town and the community and how we all can work together to make something happen.
They'll have an entire town.
We landed on Welcome to Nevada because we're always mispronounced as Nevada. So that's where we came up with the Vegas thing.
Led by Mayor Ryan Condon. Participants range from high school students.
We've got a lot of street performers like they do on Fremont Street, again from our Nevada Drama Department.
To familiar faces.
I believe we have an Elvis impersonator.
And including local musicians.
One of them is going to be playing on the Camelot marquee up top.
Because RAGBRAI is about more than the ride itself.
We're there to make memories for everybody, so pretty excited.
It's a chance to show thousands of visitors what makes Iowa small towns special.
That's really what we're hoping for people to make memories and then want to come back and revisit some of these places that they've seen.
Now, Mayor Condon says they're expecting the brunt of the traffic between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. next Wednesday. That's the 22nd. In Nevada, I'm JD Snover, Local 5 News.
Iowa HHS is working with the CDC to investigate possible sources of cyclosporiasis. The parasite spreads mainly through contaminated water and fresh produce. Local 5's Emily Carlson explains how Iowa restaurants are responding.
Yeah, according to the Iowa Health and Human Services, Iowa has confirmed 57 cases of the parasite this year. At this point last year, there were 49 cases. The Iowa Restaurant Association says if the outbreak increases, Iowa eating establishments have all the knowledge and the resources to deal with it safely. Every restaurant in Iowa is required to have a food protection manager on staff, someone trained to take charge of making sure all procedures for foodborne illnesses are being followed. The president of the Iowa Restaurant Association says its workers are trained at the same level with the same types of products you would find in a hospital to make sure kitchens are cleaned, food is properly stored, and everything is washed and handled appropriately ahead of time.
I do imagine that everyone is having a conversation when they're starting off shifts, reminding people that they have to pay closer attention right now because of these sensitivities. But from the standpoint of when things like this come up, where do I want to eat? I'd rather eat in a restaurant, because I imagine, even though I have a certified food protection manager certificate, I imagine that restaurants are talking about the procedures far more than I'm thinking about them in my home.
So far, 4 states in the Midwest, including Iowa, have reported an uptick in cases. Public health officials are interviewing people to find out what foods they ate before getting sick. And while many people are pointing to lettuce as the source of the outbreak, the CDC has not yet confirmed it as the source. The CDC is tracking a wider outbreak affecting 31 states, with over 1,600 confirmed domestic cases reported since May 1st this year. Iowa's cases have not been tied to the national outbreak. The last time Iowa experienced a large outbreak of cyclosporasis was in 2013, when 148 cases were linked to imported salad greens.
A 17-year-old was arrested after shooting his own family members. It happened Monday in Moulton, a small Iowa town near the Missouri border. Local 5's Alex Fulton has the latest details and what can be done to prevent further violence.
Authorities say it all started when the 17-year-old got into a fight with his family. Authorities did not say what caused the argument. The fight at the Moulton home escalated and ended in gunfire. The teen eventually grabbed a gun from his father's bedroom. He shot his estranged stepmom, his 20-year-old brother, and his brother's 21-year-old girlfriend.
It's not new, right? We're looking at every couple of days this gun violence.
Darnell Lotman runs Focus, a nonprofit that specializes on youth crises and mental health. He recommends gun owners lock up their guns in safes so their kids can't access them.
If you don't support it and the incident happened, then you have to question yourself. Did I do everything I could so that wouldn't happen, right? And if you didn't, then you got to look in that mirror and understand that you partly to blame.
All 3 of the victims had to be taken to the hospital. The teenage suspect, identified as Dracona Clark, left the gun at the home and took off. He was caught by authorities at the intersection of 8th and Main Street. Clark was taken to the hospital to get treated for injuries from the fight before the shooting. He was later transported to the Appanoose County Jail and faces multiple charges, including attempted murder. Lotman encourages parents to have healthy conversations with their kids about the repercussions of resorting to gun violence.
There's no way to sugarcoat what can happen to you if you shoot somebody. Just be honest. Like, this can be jail time. You can end up dead. Your family member can end up dying because you decided you want to go shoot somebody.
The 3 victims have non-life-threatening injuries, according to authorities. In Moulton, Alex Fulton, Local 5 News.
Yesterday marked 1 year since a landmark in the Monroe County town of Albia burned down, leaving 1 person dead in the rubble. Local 5's J.D. Snover met a longtime resident to talk about what happened and what will come next.
For most of his life,
I left for about 4 years in the service.
Tom Woodard has called Albia home.
I just love the town, that's why I stayed.
That love's in part due to memories in the town square.
Even going clear back to when it was at J.C. Penney's and my mom would take me there shopping for school clothes.
And in the R.O. Kramer building.
It just got to the point where we realized that it was gone.
Which was a building destroyed in fire 1 year ago this week.
It was just more or less about saving the buildings around it, more than saving it.
Now standing there across the street.
Oh, it makes me very sad.
He can see an empty plot where his business once stood.
At one time when it was kind of a mini mall, I had a jewelry repair shop in there.
Gone, but not forgotten. In part, thanks to Woodard.
History is made fresh daily, and this is going to be something 50 years from now for people to. So I started taking pictures when I realized that we were at that point.
So what's next?
We're ready to move forward and thinking more positive about the future of it.
That's still up in the air, but...
You know, that facade was the important part to the visual of our square. So if they could get that back to close to that, that would be the main part.
Now, Woodard says the next step is getting this wall all fixed up. That's the one that ran adjacent to the east of the R.O. Kramer building. And from there, they can start thinking about putting in a new building. In Albia, I'm J.D. Snover, Local 5 News.
The U.S. House passed a bill that would make daylight saving time permanent. Local 5's Brendan Wynn spoke with Iowans on what they'd like to see happen with this bill.
For a little under 100 years, the U.S. has been trying to preserve this, daylight. But a new bill could change that. The Sunshine Protection Act passed the U.S. House yesterday and could end the spring forward, fall back cycle Iowans are used to. Richard and Judy Ann shared how they feel that daylight saving time does more harm to farmers than helping.
We used to farm, and feeding livestock was something that the animals, they always want to be fed at the same time every day. I fed cattle for years.
The Daylight Saving Act of 1916 was originally implemented to give more times for farmers to harvest in a day, something the Anns feel is outdated.
And I think as older people that we would probably be well off having it just stay the same year round.
Less hassle. Easy, just to always know what time it is.
On the other hand, local teachers Janelle Mueller and Terry Olsom feel the most important thing for students' health is maximizing sunlight.
Keeping them awake and getting them to school on time is a challenge at the high school level.
Because for kids to come to school in the dark and be in the dark in the winter for the first hour and a half of class would be very challenging.
Mueller and Olsom are not the only ones concerned for people's health. Ryan Crane with the National Alliance of Mental Illness expressed concern with the current state of daylight saving.
When there's less daylight and that has an actual effect on folks' mental health, that seasonal affective disorder and related things are pretty well known and pretty well studied.
Local 5 reached out to Senator Grassley and Ernst to see if they plan on supporting the bill in the Senate. We did not hear back from them. Brandon Wynn, Local 5 News.
2 teenage brothers are in the hospital after their car crashed into a train and caught on fire in Kossuth County. Moments later, a Good Samaritan stepped in and saved them, even before first responders could get there. Local 5's Alex Fulton is in studio with an update on how the boys are doing tonight. Alex.
Stephanie, the 2 boys both have injuries to their head and upper body. The good news is I talked with the Kossuth County Sheriff over the phone today, and he told me they're going to make it. At about 4 p.m. on Tuesday, the Kossuth County Sheriff got a call that a car crashed into a Union Pacific train.
It was a 2000 Chevy Impala driven by a 16-year-old licensed driver and a 12-year-old passenger who also happened to be his younger brother. They were traveling back from the Buffalo Center area, headed back to his residence in Lakota.
The sheriff says the car came off of Highway 9 and turned onto a gravel road in Lakota. At first, the driver didn't spot the train on the tracks.
And at the last second he saw it, was not able to get stopped and struck the train. The vehicle then traveled about 50 to 75 feet to the east. It was absolutely damage totaled.
Alex Horrock was around, saw something was wrong, and jumped into action.
He's got a little bit of medical training, so he knew that he should stabilize them when he was talking to 911.
He was the one who made that 911 call and witnessed the car catch on fire.
Alex took quick, decisive action and removed both the 16-year-old and 12-year-old from the car, got them up to safety just seconds before it became fully engulfed in flames.
Alex made sure the brothers were safe until the authorities arrived. The siblings had to be taken to the Mayo Clinic.
I'm traveling back from Rochester now, visited with the family, and both boys are considered to be stable condition right now, but they're both facing surgeries.
Sheriff Fisher says without Alex's quick thinking, it could have been much worse.
I really feel that talking to the deputies and first responders on the scene, that had he not been here at the time that he was, we very easily could have been dealing with a couple of fatalities.
Sheriff Fisher plans to give Alex the Kossuth County Sheriff Office's Life Saving Award. He also anticipates nominating him for several other state awards. Stephanie.
Well, we are just 2 days away from the start of RAGBRAI. As tens of thousands of cyclists make their way across Iowa, some small towns are preparing for more than just a busy day. That includes the Marshall County community of Green Mountain. As Local 5's J.D. Snover reports, they're hoping the attention can help preserve a piece of what makes their communities unique.
This road I'm standing on is the only paved street in the entire unincorporated town of Green Mountain. But in just about a week, over 40,000 cyclists on RAGBRAI are expected to ride through. The town of Green Mountain is quiet. For the most part.
That is also something kind of unique to our town too, is we have a noon whistle, as you want to call it.
But next week, the whistle will have some competition for Sierra Madison's attention.
I would say maybe 60, 70 people, tops.
That's about the size of the town. But when RAGBRAI rolls in for breakfast, thousands of cyclists will flood a community where...
Keep in mind, the 5 of us that are running this literally are half of the houses here in town.
They're not just feeding riders.
We did it for our windmill, as you can tell.
They're helping save a local landmark.
It's been through a lot.
High winds damaged Green Mountain's historic windmill earlier this year.
We just kind of want to get it fixed and restored so it can spin and it can just be around for several more generations.
If Green Mountain's soundtrack is a whistle, Colo, it's a little louder than that. But that too will have some competition next week.
We don't get a lot of foot traffic here in our small town, so it's a great opportunity to just bring notice to our town.
But they have another motive too.
We'll have our historical society raising money for a new museum.
In communities where every dollar and every visitor counts, it's about preserving pieces of small town Iowa from river to river. I'm JD Snover, Local 5 News.
And here's a quick look at this year's full RAGBRAI route. Sunday, riders start in Ottawa in western Iowa, followed by a stop in Harlan. Bikers will ride towards Guthrie Center, followed by Boone. They'll stop in Marshalltown, then Independence. Riders will be in Dyersville and end dipping their tires in the Mississippi River in Dubuque. Now, the Story County Fair is up and running despite floods from the Indian Creek that flooded the grounds 2 weeks ago. Local 5's Brandon Wynn shares how the community came together to keep this fair afloat.
The chicken barn at the Story County Fair is just one of many areas that saw flooding in the last couple weeks. But now the county is coming together to make sure that this fair is still clucking. Only a small section of the grounds still has floodwaters from the Indian Creek, but the chicken coop is up and running.
Yeah, these 2 are my chickens.
Malo is just one of the many chicken owners who decided to enter their poultry into one of the many livestock competitions the fair offers.
I feel like our community is just really helpful, and all the people, I'm just so grateful for all the people who decided to come help clean up and make this fair possible.
The poultry barn was of special concern because events were canceled last year due to flooding. But this year, there's something good to crow about.
You know, it starts out as a neighborhood, but really it's a family here. Like, it's a family reunion every year.
The Vaughn family shared how the community rallied to make sure that their county fair wasn't a wash.
It was definitely very scary, you know, seeing the chicken barn fully underwater. But our friend Maddox, he fundraised and he got us brand new chicken stands built.
Many hands coming together, not just to have fun, but to share in community.
It just shows great resilience from the whole communities. It's all the communities of Story County, you know, from each corner of the county coming to Nevada and being able to help and get the fairgrounds up and going and ready to go for this year's fair.
Because in a community, birds of a feather flock together. In Nevada, Brandon Wynn, Local 5 News.